Hello human beings, Cacti and Cactuses here, and aka your least favorite YouTube channel. And by golly, it's been a while since I last uploaded. Yeah, I know. Pretty crazy. So you might have read the title of this video and thought, like, what's going on, you know? But, you know, I figured I'm kind of tired of doing other things, so I'm just gonna do this, okay? You know me. I can't tell if this light is, like, too much. I could turn it down. Let's see. Guys, this is gonna be like an adventure for all of us. Okay, that's a little bit more subtle. So, I used to be really into Five Nights at Freddy's. Not that I still don't respect the game series, but like, you know, I'm nowhere near as invested in it as I once was. And, you know, the byproduct of that was many pieces of art, one might say. But I think the pinnacle of my interest in the series and the game franchise was probably this little story that I wrote. So I don't know how to like start talking about this because it's just something. I always enjoyed writing fiction, and I also enjoyed at the time in 4th grade when I wrote this, I enjoyed Five Nights at Freddy's. So I thought, why not bring the two things together in this fan fiction story? I that's what I'm calling it. That's what I'm calling it now. I guess I should provide some context. If you don't know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, then like you're probably not gonna understand like any of this. You know, whatever. If you're giving me views, then like I guess I can't complain. So essentially, I guess in the story there were like these two main people who were brothers that created animatronics named William Afton and Henry Afton, and that's really all you need to know. So this story is about my headcanon story about engineer Henry Afton, who creates robots, I guess. I'm obviously gonna have to skim through some of this, but I kind of want to showcase what the war crimes I'm capable of. I'm not gonna show you this the entire time, but it says Bill. That's the title of the story. And this is day 1 because it's over 5 days because it's like Five Nights at Freddy's and it goes over 5 days. And we get a time and a date. It's November 8th, 1984. Set in kind of the past. Let's go. Let's give this a read. Henry Afton, in his dimly lit basement, added the last finishing touch to Bill's voice box. Time to activate him. Every small detail had been added, and Bill almost looked real. He had light brown hair that went down to the back of his neck. His hard skin was a pale peach color. He wore a plaid button shirt and tie. He had navy blue jeans and brown shoes. He's the perfect robot companion, Henry thought. So I guess this is the animatronic he's made, who's a companion. I guess he's a servant/companion. Whatever. Henry walked onto the concrete, I guess because he's in his basement, swerved around some tables and got to the switch. He glanced at the switch and the robot, so I guess he's going to turn him on with the switch. The smile on Henry's face was as big as Bill's. Does it mention him having a smile? Like, no, it doesn't. So, okay, that's just an inference you have to make. Suddenly, a fuse blew out. Okay, alrighty. Henry was swallowed by darkness. It happened so quickly that he had almost no time to register what was going on. Crud, he muttered. That was like the worst thing my like 9-year-old brain could think of, I guess, at the time. He felt around the dark basement and crashed into a table. He lost his footing and fell to the concrete floor. Dude, pathetic. This guy is such a beta. He held onto the table and got up. Another table and got up. Henry sauntered. Wow, what a big word. It's just like a flex. I couldn't say walk, I had to say sauntered. With his hands out until he reached the gray brick wall. He kept moving until he felt a hard plastic object. He tried to open it, thinking it was the fuse box. He started to tug as hard as possible, now grunting loudly. Then he heard a loud rip. That's how I wrote it. Henry reached his hand in and felt cold, hard metal. He had ripped Bill's face off. I don't understand why, like, what this achieved. So apparently, yeah, he's just stumbling around in the dark. And the metal robot he's created, he manages to rip the face off of it, thinking it's a fuse box. Okay. He was surprised and dropped the face. It wobbled on the floor a couple times and then settled. Henry stepped back and hit the fuse box. He opened it, flipped the switch on, and turned the lights on. Okay. That was pointless, I guess, but he picked up Bill's face and scrutinized it. Nothing a little hot glue can't fix. That's what that's what he said. Doesn't that seem kind of irresponsible to be like professionally making these animatronics and then patching them together with hot glue? It's like, no wonder you're such a failure, Hank. So he literally fixes it with hot glue. It wasn't even like a joke or anything. So now it was time to activate him. So Bill was stuck up on a stand that held him in place. Metal bars and mechanisms kept him from tipping over. Henry's hand was on the switch. Flick. So yeah, alright, let's go. There was a low buzzing noise and the metal rods let go of Bill. His blue eyes lit up and looked from left to right. He took 2 steps out of the stand. In a somewhat robotic voice, he said, "Greetings, my name is Bill, and you are," he paused, "Henry Afton." Henry was overjoyed. He was amazed. I mean, like, I this is like proof I had no idea what I was doing. Like, you always hear, you probably heard the advice before, show, don't tell, if you ever tried to write anything. I literally just didn't know how emotions even worked, because I just felt the need to say, he was overjoyed, he was amazed. And I wrote, his invention actually worked properly, with an exclamation point. Okay. Henry excitedly said, "Bill, make me some coffee." "It would be a pleasure," Bill admitted from his voice box. That's the voice I'm gonna do. It's gonna feel nasally. Also, I didn't separate the quotes into different paragraphs. I don't know if you can see it. Rookie mistake. 5 minutes later, he came back with a steaming cup of coffee. Henry was flabbergasted. What a great vocabulary I had. He was just expecting the robot to malfunction or set on fire or something like that. These are my words, like, I'm not even paraphrasing. Henry messed with Bill for what seemed like hours and then was ready to deactivate him. "Good night, Bill," Henry said warily. He flipped the switch and alright, so he shuts him down, whatever. Day 2. I'm gonna probably end up making this into 2 parts, just to make it a little bit less tiresome. Alright, so this is day 2, November 9th, 1984, 9:30 a.m. Let's go. Henry walked down the carpet-coated stairs to get himself breakfast. He had been up late last night. He made a loud yawn. Henry sat down on a stool in his kitchen. He remembered that 3 of his other creations hadn't been finished. This is just random lore that I was trying to create. They were mostly just endoskeletons, which was the skeleton of the robot. It's, I guess, what people called them. So, yeah, it just goes on and on talking about what they're supposed to be. Pointless. He opened the basement door to activate Bill. As he turned the light on and walked down the steps, he was terrified to see that a giant, hairy, pitch-black spider was crawling on one side of a frame of Bill's glasses. The spider's leg span had to be about 4 to 5 inches wide. This is supposed to be America, by the way. I don't know that we have spider. I'm not even going to question it, though. Henry ran upstairs to get the thickest napkin he could find. He was freaked out. He has like a collection of napkins organized from like thin to thick. So Henry loathed spiders, so he approached the stairs with a large wad of napkins. Okay. I mean, like, I guess I'd be kind of freaked out too. If it was if I had a 4 to 5 inch leg span, that sounds terrifying. Then, as quick as a race car, wow, what a great simile I used there. Henry grabbed the spider with the napkins and chucked it into the trash. While he threw it, he could feel the spider squirming and wriggling under the wad of napkins. He decided not to activate Bill. So that was completely pointless. Okay. 4:55 p.m. See, just time skips. Like, that served not like that. It was all just filler. It was really all just filler. Henry got a call from his brother, Will. Okay, so this is incorporating a real FNaF character here. Let's see how I do. "Hello, who is this?" Henry asked politely. "It's me, Will." He could hear William Afton on the other end of the line. "Great news, Henry. I got $1 million deal for selling a few of my Robux." Henry was annoyed. "Oh, good for you," he muttered sarcastically. "Oh, and by the way," Will continued, "be prepared for the hurricane." So just ran. Yup, Henry mumbled deep in thought. He hung up the phone. That's like the most awkward sounding conversation. Like what? Like, it's pointless. Like, they exchanged like 2 sentences each, and then they just were done. Henry completely forgot about the hurricane. It was supposed to be the biggest hurricane in a decade, and everybody was worried. It was going to happen the next day. How climactic. Henry had packed some things for when the power went out, but he still didn't have any kind of generator. Bill was making Henry dinner when he came into the kitchen, so he already has, like, making dinner for him. When Henry ate the food, it was amazing. Who knew a robot could make spaghetti and meatballs? Like, it just sounds so corny, but I was okay. Before it was too late, Henry went out to shop for some things. He wanted to be prepared for the hurricane. The streets were dark and sort of wet, with puddles that glistened in the streetlights. Henry could already see the convenience store. When he got to the small store, Henry and the clerk were the only people there. But Henry noticed the clerk had a black ski mask on. He walks in, and it takes him a second. He's like, "Hey, I noticed something a little bit off." The shelves behind the counter were torn apart, their contents on the floor. The cash register was open. "Give me your wallet," the man said. So I guess he's supposed to be a burglar who was pretending to be the person that worked there, but also still had the ski mask on. And he pulls out a gun. "Oh, okay, let's go. Let's do this." Henry was too terrified to speak. He tried to run, but then felt a bullet go right into his left arm. On the impact of the bullet, his arm sort of twisted in an involuntary, big word, spasm of pain and surprise. Henry's arm exploded with pain. He somehow waltzed out the doors and ran to his house, which happened to be rather close to the store. So this random man just shoots him in the arm and is like, "Well, I guess he'll just run away. Too bad." Henry busted through the front door of his home, screaming in agony. He got to the kitchen table, blood leaked down his arm like vermilion, like vermilion paint, making a mural on the counter. Bill came into the room, alarmed. He just left him on, I guess. He realized what had happened. "Bill, get the tweezers!" Henry shouted, tears and sweat pouring down his face along with a stitch in his chest. Like, why wouldn't he just call the cops? He wants to get it out himself with the tweezers. Bill was surprisingly quick. The bullet could be visible in Henry's arm. Henry braced himself, tightened his muscles, and bit down hard. Gah! And I'm not even exaggerating because look, that's the last line. Is I felt the need to add all of those letters. Okay, well, I just dropped the thing, but I hope this was at least somewhat enjoyable. You know, maybe I'll make this a thing where I make fun of my past self. That's funny. I'm gonna continue this sometime soon, and yeah, that's about it for today. So remember, it's cacti, not cactuses. Stay prickly.